we love especially about Queen's Court is that it's, not just 20 somethings on a beach somewhere. These are women who have been through some things in their life.
So congratulations on the show. It's definitely an interesting concept for the both of you. So I will start with you, Holly. Some people are really confused as far as what I've seen on social media about why you guys are helming the show. We know you guys from OWN and Hallmark and from your charitable affiliation. So this seems a little bit far-fetched for some. So why was this project something that you wanted to bring to the forefront?
Well, first of all, we love this genre. We watch these shows all the time. We really do. Like, it's one of our bonding experiences. We just love them. And so what we love especially about Queen's Court is that it's, not just 20 somethings on a beach somewhere. These are women who have been through some things in their life and are so vulnerable and coming out and saying, you know what, this is what I'm looking for right now. And they're women of a certain age too. They're not, 20, not even 30, they're in their 40s. So there's that. And there's also the fact that, we love the idea of helping people find love. Mm-hmm. And we authentically feel like they're all in this for that reason. I knew Tamar and Evelyn, and I know their journey and their story, and we're friends. I did not know Nivea before this experience, and I love her to death. I think she's going to be America's sweetheart, and she's just so delightful. But in the end, it really, we love the idea of being able to impart our wisdom with people who genuinely are looking for something like what we have. And I think that when we were offered the job, it was weird. Like, both of us looked at it. We're both like, yeah, we're in. Mm-hmm. This is what we want to do.
Because outside of the show, we get asked the question all the time. Like, mm-hmm. What's the secret? I mean, there's no one secret, but people want to know it or get advice from us from many different ways. And so it felt only natural when we got asked to do this. It felt only natural to say, yes, we're jumping in with both feet.
Yeah. And we're invested too. Like, we really want them to find love. And then we really became, close with not just the queens, but the kings too. And and we found it to be a fascinating social experiment. And we're so glad we did it.
Now, you mentioned that you already knew Evelyn and Tamar, and that you fell in love with Nivea while participating in the show. But what specifically went into the selection process for the three queens that are featured?
We had nothing to do with selecting the queens, but I feel like they did a great job. These ladies are, they've been through things. We know a lot of what they've been through because they've lived their lives so publicly. And then the other catch is that, these are them finding love. They have to find a man who is comfortable with a woman who's done some stuff and comfortable with a woman who is out there and is in the public eye, and, her business isn't out there. Like, so that was great. And for the kings to be able to go to Rodney and say, hey, what's it like dating a high profile woman? When we got together, I was already, on my second TV show, and I was kind of rolling. And so there were a lot of similarities. We really related to them. Now, the difference for us was like we got together in the 90s. We didn't have social media. We didn't have a lot of dating apps. It's just the dating world is so different now. Mm-hmm. So that was a takeaway for us. Like, wow, we looked at each other like, ooh,
thank God.
We're glad we figured it out when we did. But that said, I think there's something to the authenticity of women a little bit older, that already have children and have experienced breakups, divorces, and things, life has hit them. If they want to find that person, they're still looking. I think there are a lot of people out there that will relate to that journey.
Now, for you, Rodney, I often hear women say things like, oh, I wish I knew a man's perspective. And here you are giving them your perspective. So how do you feel as if your advice was received by the three queens on the show?
I think the advice that I was giving the queens was received very well. In fact, they often came to me and say, what's that body language telling you? What's he saying? When he says this, what does he actually mean? Or how do I get more information? Because we as guys tend to hold things in. We don't really want to reveal things or share too much about ourselves. And so a lot of questions from the queens, all three of them were, How do I get him to open up a little bit more about what he really wants? Because that's what the show is all about, is finding love. And they, have a relatively short period of time to truly try to find that with these guys. And so it was a fast pace, but also on the flip side of that, the guys also were asking me, because I've been in a relationship with a high profile woman, and we dated when she was at a high point in her career. She had her own thing going. It's easy to be intimidated by all of that. And so the guys kept asking me, okay, what do I do? How do I approach Tamar? What do I say to Nivea that's going to make her know that I'm real? And so I kept sharing that with them, and it was really cool to see them actually wanting to know
advice,
and take it all in, because it lets you know that they were there for the right reasons.
Some of them.
The ones that
we saw a sneak peek, so it wasn't really too hard to figure out who was there for reasons and who were not. Now, you guys obviously have spoken about this. I believe you said you've been married for 27 years, right?
Yes.
Okay, so as someone obviously with the long-term successful marriage, what barriers do you feel? I know Holly spoke about some of them today, as far as the dating world is just so different in social media, but what other barriers do you feel are the most common in dating and relationships today?
Oh, well, I mean, certainly the issues of, women being more independent, and actually some women are sort of raised with the culture of, I don't need a man, or I don't want a man, I don't need a man, but maybe they actually do. How do you let your guard down? How do you find a man who's going to let you be you and want you to win and is not competing with you? So I thought those were interesting themes, especially on this particular show on Queen's Court, that, sometimes, we come up against things that we're not really sure how to deal with. And we're sometimes, as women, not all, lying to ourselves that we don't want a life partner, and someone to share it all with. But how do you get there, right? How do you get there without getting your heart stomped on or whatever? So there were a lot of things that, I definitely learned and took away from Queen's Court, lots of takeaway. And I think people are going to see themselves in their situations in this show.
And what ways do the two of you go about actually helping the women navigate through this experience? Because obviously you are there to give them advice, but ultimately the decision is up to them.
We tried it. We put in our 2 cents, right? We were so invested. So we were there from the beginning to the end, and not just to come in and tell them, today you're going on a date to the lake. We were there. So we were talking to them about it when the cameras went down. We would talk about it. Make
sure he tells you this. Make sure you ask him that.
Yeah, and oftentimes when they would say, "Oh, well, he got 2 baby mamas," and I was like, "Well, no offense, but you got 2 baby daddies." Like I had to go there. No, but I had to go there with that, because that's keeping it real. Like, we tend to be too good for certain things, but then we'll miss out on some good stuff because we're so busy, sort of being holier than thou. So I tried to get the ladies to be a little bit more open and not look for the red flag so much, but look for the good stuff.
Like I said, this was definitely interesting to watch. I look forward to watching the remainder of the season. And thank you for your time today.